2 hours later, when Nalin Yinran returned from another continent thousands of miles away to the magical Beast Mountain Range, Yun was already waiting at the heart of the mountain range. As Nalin Yinran ventured deeper into the range, she was surprised to find that there was more than just her teacher present. Besides her teacher, there were other presences in the mountain range. Whoosh! Nalin Yinran, breaking through the air, landed on a peak at the center of the magical Beast Mountain Range. As her gaze moved forward, she saw a massive green mountain hundreds of feet tall. On the peak, a gigantic waterfall cascaded down like white silk, forming a wide pool of water hundreds of feet across at its base. The roaring sound of the water echoed, and mist filled the air. Nalin Yinran noticed 3 figures standing near the pool before the waterfall, facing the misty spray. The woman at the front was unmistakably her teacher, Yun. Behind Yun, Nalin Yinran immediately recognized the identities of the other 2. They were magical beasts. One had the strength of a 4-star Dozong, and the other had just recently entered the Dozong rank. Both were transformed magical beasts. Whoosh! Upon seeing her teacher standing by the water, Nalin Yinran moved swiftly, flashing a few times until she appeared beside Yun. She noticed that Yun was gazing at the massive waterfall ahead. Following Yun's gaze, she could see a hidden cave behind the waterfall. "Teacher, I've already checked over there," Nalin Yinran said, pulling Yun out of her thoughts. "How is it?" Yun asked. "It's the former site of the Hua sect. The area spanning thousands of miles is well protected," Nalin Yinran replied, then shifted her gaze toward the 2 figures behind Yun. "Teacher, who are they?" "Heh, I'm the Amethyst Winged Lion King, and this is my son, who recently transformed with the help of Xiao Master," the man in purple said, smiling at Nalin Yinran. "Many years ago, when I was just at the Do Huang level, I once fought with your teacher." The Amethyst Winged Lion King added, "Don't be fooled by the gap in our strength now. I once sealed your teacher myself." Hearing this, Nalin Yinran's eyes narrowed slightly, and a surge of Do Qi erupted from her body, forming a solid sword of energy in her hand. "Are you serious about this?" The Amethyst Winged Lion King jumped back in alarm upon seeing Nalin Yinran's energy sword. With his 4-star Do Zong strength, he knew he was no match for her, especially at her 7-star Do Zun level. "Yinran, let it go," Yun said calmly, and Nalin Yinran dispelled the sword of Do Qi at her teacher's words. "Is there anyone else in this world, besides you 2, who has transformed into a magical beast?" Nalin Yinran asked the Amethyst Winged Lion King. "There are no humans, but there are a few other transformed magical beasts. At least in the ocean beyond these mountains, I've seen 2 Do Zong level experts. As for sea beasts at the Do Wang and Do Huang levels, there should be quite a few," the Amethyst Winged Lion King replied. "Then why are you here? Shouldn't all intelligent beings have migrated to the Do domain by now?" Nalin Yinran asked. Was it Xiao Yan's arrangement? This time, it was Yun who spoke, not the Amethyst Winged Lion King. It was indeed Xiao Master's arrangement. "If you have any requests, we can help," the Amethyst Winged Lion King said with a shrug, clearly resigned. 2 years ago, when he wanted to join many of the strong figures from the Jiama Empire in entering the new world of the Do domain, he had received orders from Xiao Yan. The Amethyst Winged Lion King couldn't help but feel a bit helpless. He recalled how, over 60 years ago, Xiao Yan had been a young man who had been avoiding him. Now, Xiao Yan was the mighty lord of the Do domain. Truly, it was a case of 30 years on the east bank of the river, 30 years on the west. Of course, as the price for staying behind in this world, the Amethyst Winged Lion King had received some benefits from Xiao Yan, such as high-grade pills that could improve his bloodline. That's the situation. In simple terms, all intelligent beings in this world have stayed behind to serve you, the Amethyst Winged Lion King said, then changed the subject. "By the way, what is your relationship with Xiao Master? He even gave you a world." That's, as the voice of the Amethyst Winged Lion King fell, a fierce killing intent suddenly enveloped it. In the next instant, a silver sword light flashed right before its eyes. By the time the Amethyst Winged Lion King reacted, Nalin Yinran, holding a sharp sword, had already appeared in front of it. Her sword was aimed directly at its throat. With a slight tremor of her fair, jade-like hands. The sword's sharp edge would pierce through the Lion King's throat. "Shut up." Nalin Yinran's eyes gleamed with cold light as she watched the amethyst-winged Lion King show an innocent and terrified expression. A chilling voice escaped her lips. The amethyst-winged Lion King immediately fell silent. "Teacher, should we just forget about this ruined world? Is Xiao Yin trying to imprison us here?" Nalin Yinran spoke with a hint of complaint, turning to Yun Yun behind her. "Huh." As Nalin Yinran's words fell, she saw Yun Yun take a deep breath. In that exhale, Nalin Yinran felt as though her teacher had become infinitely lighter, as though some burden that had weighed on her for decades had finally been lifted. Only Nalin Yinran knew that this was the obsession that had lingered for decades. She had originally thought that this world would only increase her teacher's fixation, but now, her teacher seemed to have let it go. During the past few minutes, Yun Yun had been staring at the concealed cave behind the waterfall, as if something had dawned on her. "I understand his intentions now. Perhaps that was his real goal," Yun Yun said softly, her gaze fixed on the waterfall ahead. "Xiao Yan's intentions?" Nalin Yinran was puzzled. She blinked in confusion and asked, "What is it?" Yun Yun slowly turned around. The cool breeze from the misty water lifted the hem of her white gown, causing it to flutter in the wind. "Yinran?" The amethyst-winged Lion King, and the one behind it, Yun Yun addressed Nalin Yinran and the others. "Go ahead and gather all the magical beasts above the Dowang level with intelligence in this drifting world. They should assemble at the coastline outside this mountain range." Teacher, what are you planning?" Nalin Yinran was nearly covered in question marks as she stared at Yun Yun's sudden, odd decision. "Isn't the world of the Do domain just beginning to take shape?" Yun Yun said, "Everything needs the cooperation of all parties to restore things as quickly as possible. At this point, we should do something for the world of the Do domain." "So, teacher, what are we going to do?" Nalin Yinran asked. "The world of the Do domain isn't lacking resources, but in order to develop, it requires something else," Yun Yun said. "That would be fresh blood, the next generation." Teacher, you don't mean?" Nalin Yinran finally understood what Yun Yun was about to do. "This world is truly a perfect location," Yun Yun said, gazing over the magical Beast Mountain range and the entire drifting world. "Let's use it as a base to establish an academy here." In the northern regions of the Great Thousand World, outside the domain of the Wandering Realm, the Martial Realm, deep within the eastern profound domain of the four celestial continents, inside a massive divine hall, several figures had gathered. These individuals were all elders of the Martial Realm, seated as the leaders of their respective domains. They seemed to be in the midst of a discussion. "This matter seems somewhat unwise, doesn't it? That area is under the control of the ancient spirit clan. How about we step back a little?" one of the elders suggested. "The Martial Realm has been established for years, and you surely know the Martial Ancestor's goal," another elder said. "Even if it means offending the Black Spirit Clan, we must take back those dozen or so continents. Otherwise, the Titan Heavenly Domain will only grow more arrogant." The Black Spirit Clan is not an ordinary clan. Although their heritage is not as strong as the Ice Spirit Clan or the Fire Spirit Clan, they were once one of the top spirit clans in ancient times. Even though they are currently in a weakened state, they are still one of the upper three masters of this wandering realm. The upper three masters referred to the three most powerful clans in the wandering realm, and below them were the slightly weaker lower nine masters. The Titan Heavenly Domain was one of the lower nine masters, and now, with the Martial Realm's involvement, the lower 9 masters had become the lower 10 masters. Some even speculated that the Martial Realm might become the 4th upper master level power, standing alongside the upper 3 masters. Currently, the Black Spirit Clan only has 4 Earth Supremes guarding it. Our Martial Realm is not necessarily weaker than them. Exactly. After the Martial Ancestor returned from the Sacred Drum Ruins a year ago, the strength he displayed was something none of us had ever seen. If a battle were to break out, even ordinary Earth Supremes would be no match for him. Foolish. Do you think the Martial Realm has few enemies in the Wandering Realm? The Sun God Temple, the Insect Spirit Clan, and the Stellar Radiance Heavenly Pavilion have already formed an alliance to target us. If the Titan Heavenly Domain adds the Black Spirit Clan, do you know what the consequences will be? We're not without allies. The Mara Heavenly Palace and the Western Profound Sea are on our side. Adding more won't help. We should wait for the Martial Ancestor and the Realm Master to arrive. A few minutes later, as the sound of air breaking echoed outside the Martial God Hall, the arguing within the hall immediately ceased. All the elders turned their gazes toward the exterior of the hall. Outside the Martial God Hall, 7 or 8 figures slowly descended from mid-air. Leading the group were Lin Dong and Ling Qingzhu, with Elder Song, Fan Yunzi, Pan Ling, Qing Tan, Lin Yin, and Lin Diao following behind them. Welcome, Martial Ancestor and Realm Master. The dozen or so elders inside the Martial God Hall greeted respectfully. They placed Martial Ancestor ahead of Realm Master, because they knew that while Ling Qingzhu was the Realm Master of the Martial Realm, the true highest authority in the Martial Realm was still the Martial Ancestor, Lin Dong, who was Ling Qingzhu's husband. There's no need for such formalities, elders. I've heard about the matter. I came here today to hear your opinions and views, Lin Dong said as he landed outside the Martial God Hall and slowly walked toward the hall. Elder Song and the others followed behind him. Inside the Martial God Hall, the dozen or so elders cleared a path. At the end of the path were 3 seats. Lin Dong sat in one, Ling Qingzhu beside him, and the third seat remained vacant. Many of the elders had already begun speculating about who the seat was reserved for, but so far, there was no answer. Martial Ancestor, I believe that the Black Spirit Clan, as one of the top forces in the Wandering Realm, has never had any conflict with our martial realm since its establishment. For this reason, we should not provoke them. Secondly, the Black Spirit Clan has been in a closed state for thousands of years. If we were to launch a large-scale campaign in their territory, it would easily provoke their hostility. Lastly, as I believe Martial Ancestor already knows, the ancestors of the Black Spirit Clan came from the lower dimension, and they share a common origin with you. They participated in the world-ending war, slaying countless otherworldly demons, and even the ancestors of the Black Spirit Clan sacrificed themselves alongside an otherworldly heavenly emperor to protect the lower dimension. An elder stepped forward and spoke directly to Lin Dong. So my opinion is clear. We should abandon this dispute with the Titan Heavenly Domain. Elder Lu, you are mistaken. Our martial realm is also one of the top forces in the Wandering Realm. To retreat simply because of fear of the Black Spirit Clan is to lose face. We are being trampled upon. Another elder stood up and retorted, pointing directly at Elder Lu. The words of this elder earned the approval of many others. Indeed, the martial realm was now a top force within the Wandering Realm. While its reputation may not have spread across the Great Thousand Worlds, it was still significant within the Wandering Realm. The dozen or so continents currently occupied by the Titan Heavenly Domain had once belonged to the martial realm, seized years ago. At the time, these continents were located in remote areas, and few forces chose to develop there. When the martial realm arrived, it effortlessly claimed them as part of its territory. However, due to the remote location of these continents, the martial realm's experts only stationed a few powerful individuals to oversee them. On average, each continent only had a common supreme-level expert in charge. A few months ago, the Titan Heavenly Domain, one of the lower 9 masters, suddenly invaded these continents. They wounded the supreme-level experts stationed there, but instead of killing them, they sent them back to the martial realm. This action was not out of goodwill, but a clear provocation. The Titan Heavenly Domain was waiting for the martial realm to react in anger, hoping to spark a large-scale battle in that region. Such a conflict would result in the martial realm being targeted by the Black Spirit Clan nearby. While the Titan Heavenly Domain would also face hostility from the Black Spirit Clan, many elders speculated that the Titan Heavenly Domain's audacity was due to its possible alliance with the Sun God Temple and other major forces, possibly planning to eliminate the martial realm once and for all. Face. Lin Dong's stern gaze swept across the hall, and his voice rang out, filled with authority. Tell me, what is face? The elders within the hall were momentarily stunned by Lin Dong's words. They exchanged confused glances, unsure of what Lin Dong meant. Elder Song, who stood beside Lin Dong, gave a slight smile as he looked toward Elder Lu. Shortly after, Elder Lu spoke again. Face cannot make the martial realm stronger. Face cannot help the martial ancestor achieve his goals. Face cannot bring back the woman the martial ancestor loves. Elder Lu paused at the last sentence, glancing at Lin Dong's face. The entire martial god hall fell into complete silence. Ling Qingzhu sat beside Lin Dong, knowing that Lin Dong was now angry. After all, his personal matters had been loudly exposed in such a setting, and the speaker had even justified it confidently. As the silence settled in the martial god hall, Lin Dong's deep exhale echoed. Elder Song, do you have any good suggestions? Lin Dong asked, turning to Elder Song beside him. I believe that half of what Elder Lu said just now makes sense, that there's no need to make a big fuss over face-saving matters. However, I still think that the Titan heavenly domain must be dealt with, Elder Song replied. Hearing Elder Song's words, the other elders in the hall breathed a sigh of relief. They had all felt an invisible pressure weighing on them, thinking Lin Dong was about to explode in anger, but he managed to suppress his fury. If you all want to hear my opinion, let me break it down for you, Elder Song said as he placed his hands behind his back and slowly walked down from Lin Dong's side to address the other elders. My first point. The goal of the martial realm is to unify at least half of the wandering realm within a few decades. Elder Song addressed the elders. Though many of them were already aware of this plan, hearing it spoken so casually by Elder Song still sent a shockwave through their hearts. After all, this goal seemed overwhelmingly daunting, and the time frame was quite short. Let me clarify. I won't go into the difficulty of achieving this goal, because that's for you all to handle. I'll just offer some strategies. Whether it succeeds or not is up to you. Elder Song continued, to achieve this goal, I believe there are 3 key indicators that must be met. First, there must be at least one heavenly supreme level powerhouse in the martial realm, even if they are a lower heavenly supreme. Second, the martial realm must have at least 6 earth supreme powerhouses, and ideally more than 10. Their role is to guard the various regions of the martial realm, each overseeing at least hundreds of continents, safeguarding tens of millions of miles. Third, when the martial realm unifies half of the wandering realm, we must ensure that the other half of the wandering realm does not become a hostile force. Ideally, they should become friendly with the martial realm, or at the very least, have no interest in opposing us. The worst-case scenario would be if they join forces to resist the martial realm. After hearing Elder Song's 3 indicators, the elders in the hall finally understood the true meaning of standing without feeling any pain. Each of these indicators, taken alone, seemed nearly impossible to achieve, like a clueless person in the great thousand worlds pointing at a continent and saying, "Destroy that for me." Ridiculous. Now let me tell you why these 3 indicators are necessary, Elder Song continued as casually as before. I don't have much information on hand, but in the Wandering Realm, excluding the Martial Realm, there are 27 known Earth Supremes among all the other forces. 19 are Lower Earth Supremes, 5 are Upper Earth Supremes, and 2 are Complete Earth Supremes. Let's make an estimate, assuming there's 1/3 more Earth Supremes hiding in the shadows. That gives us nearly 40 Earth Supremes in the Wandering Realm. Regarding the first point, we need a Heavenly Supreme powerhouse for 2 reasons. 1. Only a Heavenly Supreme can suppress so many Earth Supremes, and 2. I'm making a bold assumption. Though I have no solid evidence, you can just listen and take it lightly. I estimate that the Wandering Realm actually has true Heavenly Supreme powerhouses. Elder Song's words caused a shockwave through all the elders in the hall. Even Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly.